Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Today I will talk about the app English Bento, providing high quality speaking opportunities. We begin with the problem, inside of class. It's difficult to give feedback to all students during pair work, speaking activities, and shadowing practice. Mistakes in pronunciation and intonation go unnoticed, and corrective feedback is difficult. Feedback is best given at the moment the mistake is made, and repeated noticing is necessary for students to repair their errors. However, this is impossible to accomplish in a class setting for all students simultaneously. The problem outside of class, speaking homework. It's difficult to give students controlled speaking practice outside of class. It's very time-consuming to grade speaking homework. And for those of you who have given audio recordings as homework, you know all too well how much time it takes to listen to each recording and give useful feedback. Listening to even a 3-minute audio from 30 students would be over an hour and a half. And when you add in the downloading time, feedback, and logistics, it can take double that for one simple 3-minute speaking homework assignment. The result is that most teachers only listen to a few seconds of the recording, if that, and because the time delay getting feedback back to the students, the feedback is not very effective. So you might have spent several hours grading and giving feedback, and for what? English Bento has a solution with its STT, or speech-to-text, listen and say activity. In addition, there are several other activities that reinforce speaking practice that support the speaking and shadowing activity. So in this presentation, I'll be giving a brief overview of the student app activities and the skills they reinforce, specifically focusing on the speaking aspect of the app. Then I will show how all the data, which is progress, score, and time on task, is tracked on the teacher's dashboard. You will see how English Bento can provide students with high-quality speaking and listening practice, constant feedback on their speaking and other English skill development, while reducing grading time to nearly zero for the teacher so that it frees up their time to do more important things. Before we watch a short video outlining the app and the teacher's dashboard, let me give you a quick overview of the app activities and the English skills that it trains. First, the listen and say activity. It strengthens listening, speaking, pronunciation, and fluency. And you may be asking, how does it strengthen fluency? Well, it's a bit of a peculiar thing, but the speech-to-text technology actually will stop listening after 1.5 to 2 seconds. So if the pauses are too long, the question is essentially stopped. And so in order for the student to get full points or to complete the question, which is to repeat the sentence that they heard or are reading, the speech-to-text technology needs to have few pauses, with each pause length being less than about 1.5 seconds. This, in essence, helps the student to develop fluency. One criteria of fluency is a short pause length. The other one is mean length run, which is essentially the sound density or the number of syllables spoken in a given unit of time. Another activity is video, which supports contextualization for the passage, whether it be dialogue, monologue, story. Another activity is texting, which supports social contextual appropriateness and listening. Another one is build, where the student rearranges chunks of language. This supports grammar and vocabulary. Yet another is how many, and this activity repairs the student's interlanguage. It also supports listening and vocabulary. And you'll see in the video that essentially this activity, the student listens to an audio sentence and then counts the number of words It may not be obvious at first how this is relevant to developing English skills, but if the student adds extra words or skips words, then their interlanguage is not native. Then the next two activities, definition and CompQ, which is short for comprehension, is straightforward. Definition is vocabulary and idioms practice, and CompQ is comprehension practice. And then finally, there's the quiz activity, which emphasizes testing. So as we watch the video, I'd like you to notice the following benefits for students and teachers. First, assignments can be scheduled with open and close dates. Next, all the apps train in various combinations, speaking, listening, vocabulary, and grammar. And all the activities support each other. Next, feedback on speaking and pronunciation. In the listen and say activity, there is constant feedback on their speaking and pronunciation, in the sense there is color cues for incorrect and correct words. There's audio cues. There is also scoring and translation at the bottom of the screen. Next is high level of engagement and gamification for our attention-driven lives. It's hard to keep the students' attention, so with constant engagement with the app on a second-by-second basis helps to concentrate their focus. There's also in-app scoring for progress tracking, which is a type of engagement and gamification. Next, there is the teacher's dashboard with metrics that track progress, score, and time on task. And it's not just the score, but you can tell whether the assignment that you set was time appropriate. If you want them to spend 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, or even more on their homework, you can monitor this metric. And finally, all of this reduces the teacher's grading and saves an immense amount of time. Once the assignment has been set up, all the grading is automatic. So let's watch the video. This is a brief overview of English Bento, the app, and the teacher's dashboard. On the left side of the screen, you will see the app. It's a screen capture of my iPhone. And on the right side of the screen, you will see the teacher's dashboard. There are a lot of features, so we will just go over the highlights. When you first open the app, you will see school and personal. On the right-hand side, the student will click school, and they will go to the login screen. They add their credentials, click login, and go to the first screen within the app. So from here, I will go back and forth from the teacher's dashboard to the app so you can see their connection. First, within the app on the left side of the screen, the student will go to My Classes. If they're enrolled in multiple classes, you will see the list of classes here. On the right-hand side is the teacher's dashboard, and you can see that the teacher, Holly Burton, has 5 classes. And this student is enrolled in 2 of them, Presentations 3 and Listening and Speaking. Presentations 3 is grayed out because the end date has already been reached. So here, the student can press Listening and Speaking, enter that class. What they will see is a list of all the assignments. This assignment list was created from the teacher's dashboard. Let's take a look. On the teacher's dashboard, I click the class and I see the exact same list of assignments. Wherever there is locks, the assignment due date has already been passed. So from here, the teacher sets assignments, and as soon as you create the assignment, it's sent to the app. In this case, there's 3 active assignments, Unit 2, Unit 5, and Unit 6. Let's take a look at Unit 5. On the dashboard, you see that Unit 5 consists of Lesson 50, 51, 53, and 54. In the app, if I click on that assignment, you will see the same lessons. So, let's focus on the app for a minute. Each lesson within the app has a number of activities based on that lesson. There's Listen and Say, Texting, Build, How Many, Definition, and CompQ. Let's go to Listen and Say. So at the bottom, you will see listen mode and say mode. In listen mode, you can listen to the entire conversation or article or whatever it happens to be. There are different types of content: articles, emails, dialogues, sentences. So here you will see that the audio is playing automatically in listen mode and the Japanese translation is at the bottom of the screen. When I switch to say mode, the audio will play and then the speech to text will kick in, listen to what the student says, and then display that on the screen and compare it to the target sentence. For example, which way does it say? Go straight for 3. You can see that in the sentence for Mike, he said go straight for 3, but in the target, there are red and green words indicating whether they were correct or incorrect. The student can then repeat the sentence as many times as they like. Last, before we leave listen and say, you'll notice that there is a point system at the top. So there is a target score of 1,540 points, and this is because each word is worth 20 points. So let's leave listen and say, and you can see that the number of points that you have is displayed in the finger, if you will. Each activity works a different skill. So let's just skip texting and go straight to build. And we see that we have words, but they're actually chunks. We're lost. Mike, we're lost. Now, if you make mistakes, you can't get a maximum of 100 points. Each question is worth 100 points. Didn't you set your Navi on your phone? So if you don't make any mistakes, you get 100 points. No, I thought I could make a mistake. Turns red. Find it without. So if you make mistakes, you start losing points very quickly. That is build. You can see that it's not on a word-by-word basis. It's on a chunk-by-chunk basis. Let's leave build. How many is an interesting one. You listen to the audio and count the number of words. Was it 5? No. And if you make a mistake, it plays again. This sentence had 3 words. Mike, we're lost. Definition is either a definition or synonym. You have to tap the word which the definition refers to. A map system. Didn't you set your Navi on your phone? Navi. Now, if it takes too long, you lose points. If you make a mistake, you lose points. To not have. Without. Okay. And in comprehension question, touch the word to answer the question. What's wrong? They're lost. This is a yes-no question. Did he set his Navi? No, I thought I could find it without my Navi. Did he set his Navi? No. Okay. Each lesson has roughly the same set of activities, but the content varies. Let's look at this. This is a monologue. The students practice it sentence by sentence. Once the student goes through all of the lessons, they will get a score for that lesson, and it is displayed in the assignments menu. Let's go back to the dashboard. If we look now at directions, and we go inside the directions, I can see the list of students and all of their progress. The most important column is the summary column. I can sort by progress, score, or time. You'll notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 lessons, and you can even see the progress, score, and time for each individual lesson and how long they spent on it. By using the progress, score, and time, you can quickly evaluate how well your students are doing. If I want to export all of this data, I can click the export button and get a CSV file. Finally, in the help menu, all the actual content for the lessons are listed here. So if I was using the ebook called Conversations, I could download the ebook very quickly and see what was actually in each lesson. So for example, in this lesson on restaurants, you can actually see the text for the monologue, and you can see the text for the dialogue, or whatever content happened to be in that ebook. And all of the lessons are listed here. There is a whole host of other features. In the settings panel, you have audio playback speed, you have text size adjustment, you have some difficulty, you have translations, and some other settings. And that concludes the basic overview for the English Bento app. In summary, I'd like to go over the pros and cons. Let's start with the cons. Number one, there's no web interface for user-generated content yet. One of the biggest drawbacks is that teachers can't input their own user-generated content yet. So there are 2 points here. One is if you contact English Bento and tell them that you would like to add content, they will work with you, and within 2 weeks they will upload any content that you provide. Secondly, by the end of the year, they will have constructed a web-based user-generated content interface. The second con and third are connected in that, number two, the app can use additional pair work activities, which is related to social mechanics. Social mechanics like leaderboards and some interaction between users would improve engagement. Moving on to the pros. The app is assignment based with open and close dates, and assignments are very easy to set up. All the content is included, and if you want to include your own content, it can be uploaded within 2 weeks. However, the existing library of content is sufficient to get started. So for speaking, homework, or in-class activities, you can avoid having to check student recordings. This speeds up grading tremendously. So that brings us to number 3. Student feedback and gamification is very high, and this is important for engagement and individual differences. Students have a tremendous variation in their problem areas, so unless you're giving individual feedback constantly to each student, it would be impossible to give the same quality of feedback compared with the app. There are speaking, listening, vocabulary, and grammar practices, and these activities support each other. There is a lot of prepackaged content that can be used with any curriculum in their existing library, and content can be added within 2 weeks if you work directly with English Bento. This year there is free sign up. It literally costs nothing to get started. The system is app based. The teacher's dashboard is on the web, but the interface for the students is app-based and always on their smartphones. And since it is an app and not web-based, it's very intuitive for students. And last, and maybe most important, this whole system reduces the teacher grading and saves a tremendous amount of time when you take into consideration the amount of feedback, speaking, and listening practice that the platform affords. And that concludes this presentation. Thank you for listening.